Hi, Mel here, VA Leadership Academy member for over 2 years, one of the coaches, and client experience lead. I'm so excited to dive into our next training together. Welcome to your client onboarding flow training. This is the last core project for your certification. Let's get to it. So, as a VA, setting up a client onboarding flow is one of the most significant and impactful systems you can create for your clients. This is because onboarding sets the tone for every client relationship they have. When you build a smooth, professional process for them, you're helping their clients feel confident, clear, and taken care of, which in turn makes those clients more likely to stick around. It's not just about sending a welcome email or sharing a contract. By setting up a complete, organized onboarding system, you're helping your client keep communication and boundaries clear, avoid confusion or misunderstandings, and position themselves as the pro who leads their clients with ease. Without a system, new clients can feel overwhelmed, and your client risks looking unprepared and like they don't know what they're doing. With a system you've created for them, their clients know exactly what to expect from day one, and your client looks like the polished, professional business owner they really are. In this project, we'll build a full automated onboarding system using Go High Level. You could also do this in Dubsado or Honeybook. Remember, once you learn how to do this on one software or tool, it's very easy to transfer your knowledge and complete on others. You will need a free account set up before we begin. By the end, you'll have a professional and automated onboarding process that's ready for your portfolio and certification. All right, so what we're going to be doing is building a full onboarding flow, and we're going to be doing this, or I'm going to be doing this for, again, my fictional health coach business client who is offering a meal prep challenge. So we're going to create the entire onboarding flow when a client joins this meal prep challenge. So we're going to be creating an intake form, sending a proposal, sending a contract for them to sign, creating an invoice, sending the welcome packet, onboarding questionnaire, and scheduler to book a kickoff call. So just kind of giving you an overview of what this is going to look like. We are going to be building all of the parts first. So the form, proposal, all of that. Then we're going to create some email templates that we'll be able to plug in the workflow later. And then we'll be ready to actually build the workflow and automation. We'll put everything together using triggers and action steps, plugging in the templates where needed. So everything flows together. The whole idea is that you create this for your clients. And then when they bring in new clients to onboard, the whole onboarding process could happen while they're sleeping or literally doing anything else, which is so, so, so cool. So pretend I'm right beside you doing this with you. And also know there are a lot of steps in this process. So don't worry. Please pause however many times you need to. That's totally fine. But all right, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is create a branded intake form. Okay, so I'm here in Go High Level. Again, we are under Hey Clients for our Go High Level. And so what we're going to do is go over on the left side here to Sites, and we are going to be creating a form. So I'm going to go up here to Form, and you can just click on Form. And we're going to click on the blue button, Add Form here. And you could create this from a template if you wanted to, or you could or you can just start from scratch. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to start from scratch from this just so you can kind of see how you can put it together. But again, it's totally fine to use a template, edit it to match the branding of your client, whatever you prefer to do. I'm just going to show you an example of how you could start from scratch. Okay, so you're going to make this branded for your client for the product, whatever it is that's, being sold. So we're going to start by naming it. So we'll just go ahead and call this meal prep challenge intake form. Okay, and so it already has these on here. And so you can just add, whatever questions that you are, wanting them to fill out. So I think it's great to have their first name, their phone number, their email, and then I'm just going to show you how you can add some more in. Now, you could use ones that they already have pre-made here over on the left-hand side, or if you go to custom fields, you can add your own. So I'm just going to show you how you can add a few. And so you can decide if their answer is just going to be like really short single line, or if it's going to be a longer one. You can decide if you want like drop down, checkbox, if they need to upload a file, whatever it is. So I'm just going to do a multi-line one. And here's where you're going to put like the question. So I'm just going to say, tell me about your goals. And then we'll just put this in additional information. This is just the group that it's going to be under over here. And we're going to leave everything else the same. So then you can just search here, tell me, and it already knows. And so then you can, here's that question we created. So then you can just drag over and it's right there. And then if you would like to make it required, like if you can see here, the asterisks are there, any of them you want to make required, you just click on it and then you come over here to required. And I definitely want to make these required as well. Okay, so add your questions in. I'm going to go ahead and just add an image in here so you can see what that's like. Because again, you're going to want to make it branded, colorful, matching all that stuff. So we're going to add an image. We'll just put it at the top. And I'm just going to pick one of Breeze. Let's kind of stick with, okay. So then, you can change the background color if you wanted to, change the button color. I'm probably going to make that instead of green. There we go. I'll make it black. I'll just oops, copy that. But again, whoops, that's why. Whoops, what? There we go. There we go. So then it changes it to black just so it matches that. And you can change the font, all of that. You can decide what what you want your checkboxes, your agreement checkboxes to say. And then make sure you hit save. Oops, gotta move that out of the way. Save along the way. You can also go to submission. Oops, sorry, not submissions. Settings, and then you can change what you want. Like as soon as they submit it, you can change what you want this to say. I'm just going to add an exclamation point because that's the type of person I am. But you can make it say whatever you want. Okay, so we have this ready to go. It is saved. So that is step one. Awesome. So now we have our intake form created. All right, so now we're just going to remember that name. We'll plug it in. Like I said, we'll plug it into the workflow when we are ready for that. So now we are going to go ahead and create the proposal that shows what we're offering here for the meal prep challenge. Okay, so now we want to go to payments on the left-hand side here. And we want to go under documents and contracts. We want to go to templates. Now, I learned this as, as I practiced myself. for the workflow that we create later on, you are going to want this in template form. That is one of the action steps that allows us to send this proposal. So we're going to go ahead and create a new one. Okay. So again, when you create this proposal, it's just going to showcase, it's going to go into all detail of what you're offering. So in this case, it's for the meal prep challenge. So I'm going to go ahead and name it. So it would just include all of the details. And so again, you'll want to make this branded for your client, you know, for the product that they are selling. So if we click on the plus sign here, this is again where we can add in images, text, whatever you want for this proposal. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead again and we'll plug in that same image. We'll just use the same images. Click over here. Okay. Then we're going to give a title. So we need to drag over text. Meal prep challenge proposal. And I want to center that. Interesting. I don't know why that's not moving. Okay, well, we will leave it there for right now. I don't know why that's not moving. Okay, so we will just go ahead. I'm just gonna just give some details of it, but again, you'll give the full scope of, like I said, what's in the proposal. So we will just say, we'll make a bulleted list here. We'll say kickoff call, weekly group coaching calls, one-to-one messaging in Telegram, scripts and templates. Okay, and then we're just going to go ahead and say, nope. We'll just go ahead and say total amount due, 997. Okay, so again, I'm making this, it's, very straight to the point, but you again would brand this, give all of the details of what's included in your proposal, but I'm just showing you an example here. Okay, and so then what we are gonna do is save this. And we will be coming back to this because now we're going to create the contract, and I want to go ahead and link the contract to this proposal. So it's all right here. They can look at the proposal, be like, yep, I'm in. Then they'll sign the contract, and that's going to continue the workflow triggering and moving along. Now, when it comes to creating a contract, you have a couple of different options here. You can create it completely from scratch, create a new template for your contract. You can plug and play with the text, add in the sign fields and all of that. Or a really quick way that I've found is you can create your contract without like the sign fields, you leave those blank. You can just create it in a simple Google Doc, outline all of the text and everything there, and then upload it as a PDF. And then what I'm going to show you here is you can upload a PDF to as a template, and then we can plug in the spots where they need to, write their name and then sign their name. So I'm going to show you how to do that, but know that you have options here of how you want to do it, how your client wants to do that. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do it when you upload a PDF. Again, I think that this is just a super simple and easy way to do it. Okay, so then what we're going to do is you're going to go upload the file where you have it. And so I'm just going to use our VA Leadership Academy contract because, again, I know that this is not my meal prep, going along with my meal prep examples. However, it's a contract. You're seeing how it's, you're getting the idea here of what you can do. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and upload it. And then it's going to, put it together into a template here. And then I'm going to show you how you can add in the sign fields and whatnot. Just got to be a little patient. All right, it's going to take us to the builder. Here we go. Okay, so it's automatically named it, of course, the VA Leadership Academy contract, because that was the name of the PDF. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to go ahead and change the name to Meal Prep Challenge Contract, just so everything sticks with, but you get the gist of it. Okay, so now we want to add in the fields where our clients who decide to purchase our proposal, where they can plug in their first name, their phone address, and all of that. So when you click on the plus sign here, down here are your fillable fields. And so when they're going to plug in their full name, we're going to drag over a text field for that. And then we just want to move it right there. Okay, now an important thing to notice here is it's red. If you look over here on the right side under properties, this says it's to be filled by. Now these we want it to be filled out by the client who we're sending it to. So I'm going to keep it under contact, but there could be a part where you or the client needs to sign. So that would be the sender, or you'd be under your own account or your client's account. You could click that depending on what it is. But you definitely want to make sure you have the correct one selected for who's going to be filling this out. Okay, so then we want their phone number. And so again, we'll just do another text field here. And you can also resize these. You can make them smaller, skinnier as needed. So that way, oops, so that way it fits in here nicely. Sometimes it's a little finicky with where you place it. Okay, and then address. We'll do again another text field since there wasn't an address specific one. And I'll go ahead and just make that a little longer because I know the addresses are going to be longer. Okay. So then we're going to scroll down to the signature part. Okay. So again, we have so this one's it's already been signed. But if it weren't signed, this is where you would plug in, a text field, and I'll just go ahead and I'll just go ahead and show you, pretending this wasn't already signed by your client, per se, you would just add in a text field here, and we'll just put it over it so you can see, but you would change it to be filled by the sender. Okay, but I'll just go ahead and delete that because it's already signed. All right, but we definitely want to add in this part for the new client. So we want a text field for their printed name. And then we want a signature for them to sign in. I'm going to make it skinnier since it's so close here. And then we want the date, and there is a date fillable field. So we can just add that in there. And I'll make that skinnier too. Oops. Oh, I guess this one doesn't let me go skinnier. You can just go smaller, but that's okay. I think it still works. Okay, and so these are all red. They're all going to be done by the contact, who you're sending it to, the client, which is perfect. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hit save. Okay. And I'm going to hit publish too. And the reason is because, as I mentioned, I want to include the link to this contract inside the proposal. So we're going to go ahead and generate a link for it, copy it. And then I'm heading back over to the proposal here. So you have a couple different options what you could do. You could, if there's a way to you could put a button in here, like let's go. It takes you to the link to the proposal. Or, for simplicity purposes, I'm just going to go ahead and put a text in here and say next steps. Oops. Sign your contract and let's get started. And then I'm just going to link it here. Again, you have options of how this could be laid out based on you, your client, their vibe. This is how I'm just going to show it to you. And then you do have to select the action. I always like to do a new window. Perfect. So now both of these templates are ready to go. We have our proposal and then our contract. So awesome. So next thing is when a client would sign their contract, the next thing we want to go is to send the invoice to let's get started. So we are going to go back and we're going to create an invoice. So when we are here under the payments section, we're going to go to invoices and we're going to create a new invoice. Now, you can do one of two things. You could set a one-time invoice, or you could set up a recurring invoice, and you could have it scheduled for when it's going to send, and you could get into the settings of all of that. Since for mine, it's just a one-time purchase of $997, I'm going to do a one-time invoice. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and call this Meal Prep Challenge Invoice. Okay. So then you would be able to, enter the customer information. Obviously, I'm logged in as Bree, so it's, saying I'm Bree. And then, so let's say we're issuing it today. I always like to put the due date like a week later. So this was 2 weeks, so I'm going to change that to a week later. But then let's go ahead and add in the item, what it looks like. So add product. And I'm just going to go ahead and create product. We're just going to call it, we're just going to call it Meal Prep Challenge. And say it's price name, one-time payment, and it's $997. We'll just go ahead and save that for later use. And click save. And so you can see this is what it looks like. And you have options here of what you could. We're just going to add a customer in here. We'll just pretend it's going to. I'm going to pretend it's going to our team member, Sam. And then you can add in all of their information here. And I'm just going to go ahead and click save. Oh, it's because there's a. There we go. Perfect. I couldn't create a new one because she's already in our system. Makes sense. But again, you would put whatever the customer is. And again, we're going to hit save. And we are going to convert this to a template. Again, because that's what's going to help us later when it gets to creating the workflow. So we are just going to call this Meal Prep Challenge Invoice. I'm just going to call it the invoice template just for the purpose of this. We'll name it as whatever it needs to be. Save. And it's ready to go. Awesome. Okay, next step. After that, so again, we've created the intake form, the proposal, contract, invoice, all of these steps are flowing nicely together, and you'll see how they piece together here at the very end. But the next step is the client welcome packet. All right, so similar to when you joined the VA Leadership Academy, Bree has the client welcome packet that you can send to your clients, right? And it's just created in Canva. So that's what I would suggest doing, creating a welcome packet in Canva and, have it include, have a cover page, have some sort of, welcome message. It's going to go over, communication guidelines, next steps. It might answer some frequently asked questions, whatever it is, and then export it as a PDF. So I'm just going to go ahead and that's what we're gonna download, okay? So I have it here. This is the new client welcome packet that you all have in the VA Leadership Academy. But again, you want to create your own that's branded and, like I said, fitting for your client. And it's gonna be specific, right, to the offer that you have. So, but for example purposes, I'm just gonna use this welcome packet. And so what you're going to do then is you are going to download as a PDF. And then we want to upload it here. So you're going to go back to, we want to upload it here. Okay, I was just checking to make sure I'm in the right place. Media storage. We're going to upload it here. There it is. And we have it uploaded. Perfect. Okay. So that is ready to go. So then once they fill that out, then it'll move to the next step. Okay, perfect. And actually, probably what we'll do is, this is a document here, we'll include this in an email. So this will be in one of the email templates that we create here, after I show you all the different parts of this onboarding workflow. We'll put this into an email template, so we'll see how that works. But we have this ready to go. Perfect. Okay, now next step is creating the onboarding questionnaire. So now we are going to go over to sites and surveys, and we are going to create an onboarding questionnaire. So I'm just going to go ahead and again, you could use a template, you could start from scratch, totally your call here. So I'm just going to start from scratch. And we're going to call this, oops, meal prep challenge onboarding. Whoa. Questionnaire. Okay. So first slide, we will just go ahead and we'll do, let's have it be their name. Actually, I want to add an image in there. I like starting off with an image. Okay. We'll do this one this time. Okay, then can I add text? There we go. And just You can always change the size so it all is on one line. You can change the font. Again, branding all to match for your client. And then, we might say something, please complete our all questions so I can best support you, something like that. And I'll just go ahead and make that smaller. Oh, I might have to, okay, undo. We would have to put that in a new text box, which is totally fine. So we would just, we just add another one here. All questions to the best of your ability so I can best support you. And now we can change the font or the size. Perfect. Okay. Move that to the center. What's that going to look like in the center? No, I do not like that. We'll go back. Okay. And then you will go ahead and add another slide. And so here's where you're going to start plugging in your questions, right? Like, first name, last name. I want that way, and their email. And again, you can click on them and make sure that they're all required. So we'll have all of those, say maybe we want their address. And we're gonna make can I move? There we go. Okay, we'll have this be their first page, and then now if you want to add another question that's not in one of the quick adds, it's again, just like we've done before, go under custom fields and you can add one. Let's do something like, well, I'll just do another, I'll do another multi-line one. And maybe it's just like, where will you need the most support in this meal prep challenge? Something like that. Again, we're going to put this under additional information, save, and then to get the question to drag it on here, we're going to search where, perfect. Oh, and then we need to add it here. And then I'm going to make that required and save. And so again, you will just add all of the questions that you want in your onboarding questionnaire for your client, make it branded for your client, for the product, whatever it is, and you're good to go. So once this is saved and ready, we'll then be able to link it into an email template in the whole workflow that we put together here in a little bit, okay? So next step, we are ready to create a kickoff call booking link. That'll be the next step after they've completed that onboarding form, or sorry, yeah, the onboarding questionnaire. They're going to then book their kickoff call, which is going to really start the whole package, right? Okay, so what we're going to do now is go over to calendars, and we are going to go to calendar settings, and we're going to create a new calendar. And we're going to go ahead and just do a personal booking because would just be between your client and the new client, right? but there's different types depending on the client need. But for this one, we're going to do personal calendar. We're just going to call it Meal Prep Challenge Kickoff Call. And we'll just have this be for client Bree for this example here. We'll just have this be 30 minutes long. And then that availability looks good for right now. And we'll hit confirm. Okay. Then you can go into it further to edit it more. So if you find it here in your calendar list, go over to the pencil here to edit the calendar. This is where you can go in and add a little description. I'm just going to say, let's get this party started, but you can add, a full description of what the kickoff call is going to entail. You could add it to a specific group if you had any in your calendars. You might have different groups in the calendar, like one-to-one calls, team, whatever it might be. Okay. And then this is where you can edit, your client's availability. This is where you can set how long it's going to be. And then if you want to set like a minimum scheduling notice, like, they can't schedule within a certain amount of hours. Date range is like how far out in advance can they see availability. So like, for this one, I don't think it matters, but sometimes, they want the call scheduled like within the week. So that's where you could say, I only want to show the next 6 days or something. Okay, you do want to add probably a buffer time, right? So we're just going to go ahead and add a 15-minute buffer and 15-minute post buffer for the client. That way the calls are not literally back to back to back. Gives your client a chance to get some water, go to the bathroom, or whatever it might be. Okay, and then that's good to go. Save that, and it is ready. Awesome. Okay, so now that we have all of the parts built for this workflow, the next step that we're going to do is we're going to create the email templates. That way, then when we get into the workflow, we don't have to do a lot of back and forth and take the time to put them together. They're just all ready to go, and we can just like plug and play, drop them in where they are needed. Okay, so to create email templates, we're going to go back and we want to click on marketing. And we're going to go to emails, templates, and we're going to create a new template. And I'm just going to go ahead and do a blank template. And we're just going to do a basic one. It's got nothing on there. Make it super clean. And then you can set it up however works best for your client. The, font, branding, all of that. I'm just going to show you how you can set them up. So we're going to create one for once an invoice is paid. So we'll just say invoice paid. And we're just gonna hi. Many spaces. Your payment for the meal prep challenge has been received. You are officially inside the challenge and ready to go. I'm just gonna, and then I might just say like next up. Keep an eye out for your welcome packet. And we'll say keep an eye out in your email for your welcome packet. If you don't see it in the next few minutes, make sure to check your spam folder. So excited to get started. Thank you, Coach Mel. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and save the template. Okay, now we'll create another one. Now we'll do, kind of, now we'll do, when we want to send the welcome package. Page over here. I include, I'll just say here is your welcome. Outlines everything you can expect. And then I'll just kind of say, again, keep an eye on you on your email inbox as more support is on the way. Warmly, Coach Mel. And then we can link the welcome packet here. So we're going to go back to find that welcome packet, which we put under media storage. And we're just going to, when we find it, you're going to click on the three dots and click on the get link, and it copies it. So then we can go back and we're going to link that here. Perfect. Save template. And we'll create another one. Now we're going to create one to send the onboarding questionnaire that we have. Before we officially get started, I would love to learn more about you, what you're looking for in this challenge, and where you could most use support. This will help me provide you with the best support possible. Just kind of writing out what it should be. Oops. Please take a few minutes to complete this questionnaire. And then appreciate you and your help. Warmly, Coach Mel. Okay, so now we need to get to the link to our questionnaire, which was a survey under sites. So we're just going to go back here. There it is. And so what we're going to do is we are going to hit this button and hit preview. So it pulls it up what it would look like and gives us the link. And I'm just going to go ahead and link it right here. Perfect. And then lastly, We're going to create one more, and this is to an email so that they can schedule the kickoff call. Say hi to get this party started. Again, and write out the message, whatever message works best. Let's schedule our kickoff call. You can go ahead and find a day/time that works best for you here. And we'll just kind of add an emoji already. Then you could like outline what you'll discuss in the call, or that might be in the details of the booking link, whatever you want to do, and just say, looking forward to chatting more with you, Coach Mel. So now we need to go get our booking link. So we're going to go to calendars, calendar settings. We're going to find the specific booking link that we're after. There it is. And then here, instead of clicking edit, we're going to click on this arrow, which is share calendar, and we're going to get that scheduling link. Copy that. And we're going to paste her right here. Awesome. And now we have our email templates ready to go. We can now officially put all these parts together into a workflow so it all automatically happens while your client is sleeping or off somewhere having fun, and it's super seamless and clear. All right, so to put this workflow together, put all of these parts together, we are going to make our way to the automation tab here. And we are going to create a workflow. And we're just going to start from scratch. All right, so we'll just go ahead and we're going to create actually 4 different workflows, and I'll explain why. And so we want to make sure we name each one. So this first one is going to be for we'll call this workflow number 1, intake form and proposal. All right, so every single workflow starts with a trigger. And so for us, what's going to start this whole process is when a new client, for your client, submits their intake form. So that's what we want to plug in for the trigger here. So we're just going to go ahead and search form submitted. All right, and so then here's where, so this is like what the name is, but then you need to add a filter. And we're going to say form is, and then this is where we can select our form. So once that form is submitted, whoops, hit save. There we go. That's the trigger that's then going to kick off this workflow. So what we're going to do is, because once somebody fills in this intake form, this is going to be, essentially this is a new lead for us, right? And so a great next step then for your client is to add a tag for them and to add them to a pipeline to show that this is a new lead. So I didn't do this beforehand, so I will show you how you can add a new tag right now, and then we'll put that inside the workflow. So once we get logged in to go high level, a new screen in, you are going to go down to settings here and scroll down to tags. And then you'll see all the tags that you do have. And so we are going to just add a new tag. There it is. My thing was hiding it. New tag. And so we'll just call this New client intake meal prep challenge. Okay. And we'll keep this tab open because we're going to probably add in another tag or two in this process. So, okay, we can go back over here now. And so the next thing that we're going to do, so we have this trigger. And so now we're going to be adding action steps. Now, once this trigger happens, once this form's submitted, here's what happens. And so the first thing we want to do is add a tag to that contact. So right here. And this is where we can find that new client intake meal prep challenge. So then we'll hit save. All right. And so then, like I was mentioning, this would just be super helpful for your client to now add this to a new leads workflow. So I'm going to show you how you can do that. On the next step, then you can go here and you can search opportunity, and we're going to hit create update opportunity. All right, so in the pipeline here, we're going to go in the marketing pipeline, and your client might have it set up differently, but this is what it's called. And then we're going to move it to new lead stage once that form is submitted, and save. Perfect. Okay. Then the next thing we want to do is we want to send our proposal, which has the contract included. So we're going to add another step here. And I'm going to search document, send document and contracts. Perfect. And it's going to be from, I'm going to pretend in this case, I know it's like my fictional fitness business, but I'm going to pretend that Bree is my client. So I want that to go away. Whoops, cancel. I just want to be able to. There we go. Okay, and then here we go. So here's our different forms. Now, remember, we have our contract attached, linked to the proposal. So we don't want to link the contract. We want to link the proposal, that template. So that way it's including both of them. Okay, so once they've submitted that form, they've got their tag added, we've added them to our new leads pipeline, it's going to automatically then send them their proposal and contract via email. All right, save. Awesome. Okay. Then, like we kind of talked about up here before, when you see that red dot up there, that means it has not been saved. So you do want to make sure you are saving it. Perfect. Okay, so this is going to be our first workflow, because the next step is once they receive the proposal and the contract, they're going to sign the contract, right? And so that's going to be our next trigger. And so we want to create another workflow that follows this. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and publish this, and we'll hit save. Okay, so now we're going to create another workflow that's going to be continuing on after this. So create workflow. We're going to start from scratch again. And this one's going to be all about sending the new invoice. So we'll call this one workflow number 2. We'll just say invoice, sending invoice. Okay, so our trigger here then is when the contract is signed. So we're still going to be going under documents and contracts here. But what we want to do is we want to add a filter. And the filter is when the status of the contract that we sent is signed / accepted. So that way, once the new client signs it, it's going to automatically trigger this workflow to send the invoice. Okay, cool. So then our action that we're going to add is to send an invoice. And again, this will be coming from, we're going to say Bree is my client here, and then we can find our invoice template, our meal prep challenge invoice. Perfect. And then you can decide how you want it to be sent, just via email, email and text. You know, some people appreciate that, but you can decide. So we'll just go ahead and do that and then save. Perfect. Awesome. So now that's actually going to be the end of this workflow because our next trigger is going to be once the invoice is paid. So we're going to hit save and publish, save. And we're going to go back to workflows to create our third one. Okay. So this one's going to be called workflow number 3. We will say, we'll do welcome packet and onboarding questionnaire after payment. It's kind of a long title, but essentially it's got everything that we're looking for. Okay, so in this case, our trigger, like I mentioned, is when that invoice is paid. So we are going to, again, search invoice. And this time, for the filter, we want the invoice status to be paid. So then once their invoice is paid, that's going to trigger this workflow. And so now we want to add a contact because this another contact tag, because now that they've paid, they're officially your client. They've moved from a lead to they are your client. So we want to tag them respectfully as so. So we'll come back here. We're going to add another tag. This time we're going to just say meal prep challenge client. Okay, so we're going to do again where we add the action to add contact tag, meal prep challenge client. Because your client may want to, just send emails who have that tag, or, it'd just be nice to be able to, like, if they just want to look at numbers or, whatever it is, it's just nice to tag leads and clients in certain ways. It'll be super helpful for your client. They'll really appreciate that. So awesome. Then here's where we're going to plug in that email template that we created for when the invoice was paid, excuse me. So we're going to add in another action step. So now we're going to send an email. And again, we're just, in this case, I know we're using my fictional coaching business. I'm just pretending Bree is my client though. So we're going to just still say from Bree. And then we'll use her email. And then for subject, we're going to say in something just like, we've received your invoice. Thank you. Just something like that. And then here's where we can plug in our template. There we go. Invoice paid. Oops. There we go. And so then it will automatically send that email. And then here's where you can, again, like I've shown you before in a different project walkthrough, you can test send this email so you can see how it looks, make sure it looks all correctly formatted and all of that before you actually send it out. Awesome. We'll save that. Cool. And so then if you remember in that invoice email, we had said like keep an eye out for your welcome packet. If you don't see it in a few minutes, check your spam folder. So right away then we're going to be sending another email. We're not going to delay it. I'm going to show you for our next step how you could delay it, but this one we're just going to go ahead and send another email right away. And now we're going to have your welcome packet. So again, package. And if you ever want to like edit it or view it to see what it looks like, you can click in here. Show you that too, so that we know it's going to send the welcome packet. Perfect. Again, you can test it if you want to. That's good to go. We're going to save along the way. Okay, so now we've sent the welcome packet. We don't want to completely overwhelm the new client, right? By sending boom, boom, boom emails. So we're going to go ahead and set a delay before we send the onboarding questionnaire. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. You add an action step and you can search for wait. And so you can wait minutes, you can wait hours or days. We'll just go ahead and wait. We'll just wait a day is what we'll do. Okay, so then a day later, we're going to then send the onboarding questionnaire. Perfect. And you know what would be even more helpful? Because if you just look at this workflow, you see add tag, email, wait. It'd be helpful to know, just looking at a glance, what these are. So I'm going to change the action names on here. Add new client, new meal prep client tag. Send invoice paid email. That way, just when you look at the workflow, you have a general idea of what it is. And you can, of course, click on it to look at more details, but say wait 1 day. Perfect. That way, now when you look at it, it's like, oh, that's right. Perfect. And we can also change that trigger name. Invoice paid. There. Much, much better. Okay. Awesome. So now we'll publish this. We're ready for our fourth and final workflow, because now once they've filled out their onboarding questionnaire, then they're able to schedule their kickoff call. So we will add that in there. So we need a new trigger of when that survey is submitted, the onboarding questionnaire survey. So we'll call this one, oops, keep the names all similar. Number 4, book kickoff call. Yeah, we'll just call it that. Okay. So our trigger here is since the onboarding questionnaire is a survey, that's the trigger we want when the survey is submitted. So we'll be specific here, onboarding questionnaire Submitted, add filter. Survey is meal prep challenge onboarding questionnaire and save. Okay, so once that is submitted, then we are going to send an email to schedule the kickoff call. Perfect. Oops, forgot to name that. Okay. Okay. So then they'll be able to book their call and they're officially getting started. But then one last thing that will really impress your client and help your overall team as a whole is we're going to add an internal notification because now that we officially have this new client on board, we want to make sure that everything is tracked on them, their information from their intake form, their questionnaire, their contract, all of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an action step to send an internal notification. So I'm just going to start searching notification, send internal notification. So we'll call this okay, and then you can decide how you want to send it. If you want to send it via email, just a notification, through text. If you use WhatsApp, I'll just do notification for this purpose, but you can decide whatever you want to. And then we'll just go ahead and call this, because what we're wanting them to do is we're going to pretend that this client uses ClickUp for project management. And so what we want them to do is essentially create, a ClickUp board for them. Put together their client folder. So we will call this create ClickUp, say space for new meal prep challenge client. And then here's where you can have your message. Please create a client folder and upload their intake form, contract, and onboarding materials to ClickUp for our new meal prep challenge client. And then, no, I don't need anything there. Oh, sorry. And then you can decide who you specifically want to send this to. So you could send it to all users, a particular user. So this is then where you can select. So we're just gonna pretend it's me and then save. So then that will automatically send, whoops, redirect page. I'm not sure. We'll just say contact. Okay, so then, like I said, once this new client has come through this whole workflow, gotten to the end with booking the kickoff call, now the team's ready to actually put them in the project management board, whatever you're using. Like I said, ClickUp's our example here, but it could be anything. That way, then you're ready to start tracking this new client and organize all of their materials. Perfect. Then again, we want to save this. And then, like we've talked about before, you always want to test your workflows. You just want to make sure that they do work as you were hoping. And so you can go ahead and I'll just do it for this one. Test workflow. And we'll just go ahead and There we go. Run test. So then when you go into the execution logs, you can see, bloop, I was added to the workflow, sent the kickoff email, sent internal notification to team. It all happened boom, boom, boom. So we'll go ahead and check my email. There we go. You can see, let's schedule our kickoff call. Yay. Perfect. And that's where you can see enrollment history for clients go through this, their status, to see it's finished. So awesome. We have created this now. This workflow is set up to move seamlessly all behind the scenes. As soon as somebody becomes interested, you know, wants to join in, signs their contract, it all just happens automatically. Way to go. Here's our finished workflow for a complete client onboarding flow. We created an intake form, proposal, contract, invoice, welcome packet, onboarding questionnaire, a kickoff call booking link, and an internal notification to set up a project management board, all tied together into a seamless process. When you present this to a client, you could say something like, I set up a complete onboarding flow that gives your new clients a smooth, professional experience from day one, and it all runs automatically, so you don't have to do a thing. You get to stay in your zone of genius instead of managing this process. Oh, they're gonna love that. Music to their ears. For certification, you'll submit screenshots of your workflow. Refer below this training video for exact instructions on how to submit your project. Pro tip for you, creating simple branded documents in this process can go a long way in building trust and professionalism. Also, always make sure to preview all documents and test all workflows before officially publishing them. Way to go making your way through the core certification projects. You have learned so much and should be so proud of yourself. You rock star, you.